This is Financially Fit Business with Ruth King.
Welcome to the Financially Fit Business Podcast. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to the health of your business or your clients' businesses. I'm your host, Ruth King. Here is how we will help you increase the financial fitness of your business today. We're in the last podcast for financial advisory services. Today, we're going to talk about preparing for the meeting and having the meeting with your clients. In previous podcasts, we've talked about overview and why do this more so than anything else. And we've talked about your ideal client. We've talked about pricing. And today we're going to talk about preparing for the meeting and meeting with your clients. So by now, you should have a list of 3 or more clients who are good candidates for your financial advisory services. You know how to contact those clients to set up a meeting. You know how much a client invested in previous years, and you know how to establish the pricing options. So we're now going to talk about preparing for the meeting and having the meeting. So preparing for the meeting is having a list of questions that you're going to be asking them. You want to know a little bit about their buy versus lease, make the list of what their end game is, compensation issues, where they want to take the business. You want to be able to ask questions to help them with the growth and the profitability of their company. And so the questions you're going to ask them in the preparation and in the meeting itself is, number one, I want to understand the end game for your business because it will affect some of the growth decisions for your companies. That is first and foremost, after you thank them for their time, obviously. The second thing is, look, I want to understand the end game for your business because it will affect some of the growth decisions for your company. And if you've never asked that question before, then you may see a look of surprise, shock, dead silence on the other end of the Zoom meeting or the call. And the question will come up, well, why haven't you ever asked me this before? And the thing is, look, I'm sorry, I just have not asked that particular question before because I really want to get to know where you're headed so that I can better help you. And that's what this meeting is all about. So, okay. Obviously buying assets versus loans versus leases, equity in the business, owner compensation, and what his cash needs are for them. All right, so these are the questions that I would ask. What are the growth plans for the business? Are you planning to sell the business at some point in time to families, employees or outsiders? What their estimated timeline is, and what dollar amount do they want for the business after taxes? That's really important because if they're valuing their business on revenue instead of profit, which I see all of the time, you're going to be the one to burst their bubble because businesses are not bought on revenue. As we all know, they're bought on EBITDA. And they have to learn that. And if they want, in their head, they want X number of dollars for their business, then you have to help them with a plan to help them grow to that X number of dollars. So that they can achieve what they want to achieve at the end. Now, if there is a partnerships that you're working with, I would prefer you have this meeting with both partners so that it's not he said, she said, and it's the partners can talk amongst themselves afterwards, or both of them hear exactly the same thing at the same time. One of the critical things for partnership is a buy-sell agreement. You and I probably have seen hundreds or, unfortunately, that many businesses where there was not a buy-sell agreement in place and one of the partners gets disabled or one of the partners passes away or one of the partners does something absolutely insane and is no longer a valuable asset to the business. I'll give you a perfect example. One of my clients, dad sold the business to the 3 kids, and one of them was responsible for sales, one of them was responsible for operations, and one of them responsible for the financial side, which was a good way to do it because they were all really good at what they did. The person who was the daughter, it was the daughter, 2 sons and a daughter, and the daughter was responsible for financials, and two brothers never looked at anything because they trusted her. Obviously, it was her sister. Well, she got hooked on drugs, and you can figure out what happened is she started draining the company of cash, and they started getting phone calls that you haven't paid your bills and that, no cash, da 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 da. And they started investigating, and thankfully they had a buy-sell agreement in place to get her out of the business. Can you imagine what would have happened had there not been one? It would have been even more messier than it actually was. So you never know what's going to happen. You never know whether things are going to go crazy. This buy-sell agreement, you don't necessarily do them, but you should be working with attorneys who actually prepare the buy-sell agreements that you can refer your clients to. So you may want to show your clients what the financial reviews look like. And with Financially Fit Business, we have the graphs where we can take financial data and numbers and instantly turn them into graphs so that they can see the trends in the health of their business. If you would like to try it, give us a call, and we can send you a coupon to try it and go through how to try it with you. And that contact information will be at the end of this podcast. So if you can, show them, take their financial data for the past year or 2 years and actually put it in graphical form so that they can look at it in terms of the P&L issues, and they can look at it in terms of the balance sheet issues. P&L issues I look at are an overall P&L where you have a graph with revenue, gross profit, overhead, and net operating profit. I look at gross margins and look at productivity, which is simply for every dollar that comes in the door, how much you're spending on payroll and payroll taxes. And then the balance sheet graphs are liquidity ratios, current ratio, acid test, receivables to payables, the debt ratios, debt to equity, long-term debt to equity, the usage ratios, which are receivable days and inventory days, and obviously working capital ratios, which are really important, just as well as the liquidity ratios. So when we get back from break, I'll continue the conversation about having them preparing for and having the meeting with your clients. Thanks for listening to the Financially Fit Business Podcast.
Financial advisory services are the key to the longevity of the accounting profession. If you want to get started providing advisory services or want a review of a finance course you took in college, Ruth King's manual, Understanding Financial Trends Analysis, might be your first step. This manual gives you the information you need to help your clients with their financial statements. A great start or addition to your financial advisory practice. You help them with clarity on their business's financial health, the ability to spot impending issues and resolve them before they become a major crisis, less stress and sleepless nights worrying about the financial part of their business. Your Financial Statement Trends Analysis Manual is the reference guide. What do you want in your financial advisory services practice? Click on the link below for more information and to order.
All right, we're back. Thanks for listening to the Financially Fit Business Podcast. Before the break, we started talking about what you needed to do to prepare for your meeting and the questions that you want to have on a piece of paper and making sure that you have all of those ready for the conversation. So again, what's the end game? What's the growth plan? How does your client feel about using debt in his business? And if it's a partnership, do you have a buy-sell agreement in place? If you want to enter a client's financial data free of charge, just give us a call and we can send you a coupon to enter your first clients free. Remember that there is a 2-step authorization process, just like almost everything has now, to be able to get the information into the graph form. All right, so let's talk about it now and assume that you're in the meeting, all right? So first thing you want to do is say thank you very much for your time today and do an overview of what you would like to accomplish and get their agreement at the beginning of the meeting. It may be, I've taken a look at your financial data from numbers to graphs, and I'd like to show you what it looks like and let's get an agreement on where we can go from here, whether we can help you do this on a monthly basis. And is this okay for an agenda for the meeting? And then obviously they say yes. And go through the graphs, P&L graphs and the balance sheet graphs. And then ask this question: would a financial review be helpful every month? And they may look at each other if it's a partnership, or they may just look at you and say, look, I can help you spot impending cash flow, productivity, and profitability issues before they become a problem so that you can take care of them and you don't run out of cash. You don't have a situation where you're running into a collection problem or an inventory problem. The reason I'm laughing is one of my clients, for all intents and purposes, did not have a warehouse manager. And he needed one for a lot of different reasons. And he found one and gave him, for all intents and purposes, carte blanche to do anything that he wanted. And he did. He was like a kid in a candy store. I'm going to buy 2 of these, 3 of these, 6 of these. Yeah, we're eventually going to use all of them. But so you watch the inventory spread between current ratio and asset test just widen like crazy. And the owner looked at it and went, okay, I need to put a muzzle on him. But, he, for all intents and purposes, left him alone to do what he wanted to do and didn't worry about it because somebody was now watching the warehouse and getting everything in. So you may find some of those things, and you can warn your client about them, show them what's going on. You know, assuming that your client does say yes, to a financial review, you know, you'll say, well, here's how we can accomplish that, and potentially give you a monthly investment that includes taxes and phone calls to me during the month so that you'd pay one monthly investment and there are no surprises with a tax bill or anything like that. Is this something that you'd be interested in? And generally they're curious and they're probably going to say yes. And then you're going to just give them the pricing options and explain each of the pricing options. They have do all the bookkeeping. You'll know whether you're doing the bookkeeping already or not. They may want to just continue doing that, and then tax and financial review, give them the pricing on a monthly basis and see what they say to that and ask him which one he prefers. Now, a lot of times they're going to be shocked with this meeting. You've never done it before. And they're going to say, well, I want to think about it, and you're just going to say, I understand you're having to think about it, and I appreciate that. So when should we get back together and discuss it further and answer any further questions you have? Always see whether you can schedule a follow-up phone call, Zoom, email, whatever, when they say they have to think about it. Remember, this is brand new to them. So shouldn't say most, but I'd say a lot of your clients are going to have to think about it because they'd never done it before. What they'll probably do is do what you did, is go back and say, okay, how much did I spend with you this past year? You can avoid that by saying last year and the year before you spent X on Y, so that you can have that as part of the conversation. That eliminates that. And this way in their minds, they're going to take the monthly investment and they're going to go, da, 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 da. Yeah, that basically adds up. We're adding financial advisory services. This makes sense. Let's go from here. So hopefully your client says yes. And if the first client doesn't say yes, go to the second, go to the third. And you're going to be surprised that after a period of time, when you have these conversations, a lot of people and a lot of your clients will start saying yes, especially when they start understanding the value of financial graphs and the value of the financial advisory services that you are providing for them. And the last thing you want to do is to make sure that you revise your engagement letter based on their answer. If you haven't looked at their engagement letter in a really, really long time, this is a really good idea to do this. However, even if you update your engagement letters every single year, this is the first time you're actually including a recurring revenue monthly type of payment, and you'll need to revise it so that they sign off on it, you sign off on it, and everybody does what they're supposed to do. and you can help them make sure that they spot the minor issues before they become major crises. So, the enrollment process for your financial advisory is number one, to make a list of potential advisory clients, contact them to set up the appointment, ask them what their business and personal goals are, find out how much they spent in previous years, obviously explain pricing, show them what their financial statements look like in graphical form, give them the options, and ask which one they prefer. And then finally, revise your engagement letter. So you now know how to do it. Go for it. I want to hear some really cool stories of your clients who you're helping even more through the financial advisory process. Thank you for joining us. Choose one thing you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a business owner improve the health of his company. For comments or questions, or for a coupon to try Financially Fit Business with one of your clients, call me at 770-729-8000 or email rking@financiallyfit.business. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.